Hi, I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Well, I think journalists are lazy. That's what I figured out now. Doing this for 6 months. I think it's been, at the end of the month, it'll be 6 months, I think. I'll have to think about it. But anyway, yeah, end of the month. One of the things I've realized is you can roll out of bed, check India's Ad Age and Asian digital marketing, and you can wrap it up. It's good stuff. Okay, and on that note, this is coming from, I don't know who this is coming from. I think it's oh well, don't worry about it. This is the Global Ads Awards. Okay, this is the guys that won the big. Okay, this is not just your own little city or or an Addy or something like that that's just around. This is the World Creative Rankings, and the #1 ad of 2018. I'll show you just for a second. We won't give you the whole thing, but you'll get the idea.
Well, Super Bowl 52 is over.
And there's one big winner everyone's talking about. Skittles and their exclusive Super Bowl ad, which was only shown to one single person. Here's more on that.
Marcos Menendez is a typical high school teenager from Canoga Park. But the day he learned he would be the only person in the world to see the new Skittles Super Bowl ad, his life changed forever.
My face was on the news broadcast and everything.
And there were more surprises to come. Inquiries from NFL superstars.
Marcos, why are you the only one that gets to see it? I thought I was the Skittle guy.
A series of bizarre teaser ads starring David Schwimmer.
Is this a scene from that new Skittles Super Bowl ad that they're only showing to Marcos Menendez?
On Super Bowl Sunday, isolated in a private viewing room, Marcos finally watched the multi-million-dollar Skittles Super Bowl ad and discovered something shockingly familiar. A month earlier.
Okay, that's enough of that. It goes on for minutes. But the point is, and which I liked about it, I liked it last year when it was on the Super Bowl. I liked that it was sort of poking at this personal ad experience that we all hear about on digital and don't get. Don't get to the level of, would you like to see the highlights from that game that your team lost? God help us. One of these days, Google's going to take away my illustrations. Somebody from Google's going to watch that and say, hey, why are we offering the highlights when the guy's favorite team wasn't the winning team? One of these days, it's going to stop, and I'm going to miss it. And what'll I have to say to people? Anyway, so it gets at that. It's like if there was no money in the world, we could do a Super Bowl ad for each individual. The problem was we don't know each individual. We'd be better off sitting down and talking with them, asking them why they like Skittles, something like that. So on that note, we're gonna move on. Let's go here to the tacked up stuff. Okay. So in this I found, it unfolds. Like I said, journalists are lazy. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl because that's easy, right? Though I did watch the State of the Union, and I watched it with President Obama too. I'm a citizen. Let's watch the president talk. But I have to admit how funny it was. The stuff that President Trump said to get the Democrat side standing and clapping. It was really funny. And he talked about women. And I think the first time they really stood up and clapped was when he mentioned that of the 5 million new jobs that have been created, 60% or so, 58% went to women. So women were the greatest beneficiaries of the economic increase. They stood up and clapped. And then all of a sudden they started. It was a great illustration of pacing and leading, of in the sales process, how you want to get the client to say yes to something. And last year he didn't do it very well, and they just sat there the whole time. I'm not saying the women, the whole side of Congress sat still. This time he had veterans, he had a little kid who had cancer, he had all these things that you couldn't not clap for the people, a guy from Dukow and another guy from a concentration camp, and he did it was pretty funny. So that's a key. Get people nodding, get people identifying, right? So on that note, who won the Super Bowl ad contest? No, I got to the right place. Okay, now I found the number one ad was my pick, one of my top 4 picks. Eminem's Bad Passengers. That's where the lady's driving the car along, and I don't know who it is, some famous actress. And and the kids are fighting in the back, and she says, "If you don't shut up, I'm going to eat you alive right now." I wish I would have seen that when I had kids in the back of the van. That would have been great. Scare the daylights out of them. Anyway, so that one was one of my top that I showed you yesterday, and also there's this ranking system which I'm going to find. Super Bowl effectiveness chart from Emotional Intelligence. Okay, now the next one I didn't like that much, but not because it wasn't kind of funny, because they're mispronouncing the name of their own soda, Buble and Bubbly. It did say the name over and over. That's one of the things you want to do, is say the name over and over. Though I would have put it on the screen more often, because as David Ogilvy says, don't turn off the sound and see if people know what's going on in your commercial, which they wouldn't. Okay, and in a noisy Super Bowl environment, that I'm going to eat you alive right now. That's much more effective. Anyway, I have to say, here's a little economics that I told you about. I just wanted you to see that someone here heard my talk yesterday and wrote this ad, obviously. And it's a long ad, and it's how they make some money and how this can work for you and stuff. And I think that that's reasonable. Of course it can. You got a huge audience, even if it's down, and it's possible that people do watch the commercials, and who knows what's going, who knows, how do you measure it? Unless, like Apple, you shut off all your other advertising for a year and see what happens. Now, at the same time, BlendTech did a video, a YouTube video, Will It Blend, and got recognized as the top video on YouTube, and turned the company, just ignited the company. I now have a BlendTech blender in my house because of Will It Blend that they spent $50 on. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that can work. I don't think that would work for you today, because it just doesn't work like that. Okay, here's another news item. Are young shoppers always more tech-friendly? The answer is, the Gen Zs and Millennials use smartphones to shop. I do too if I'm, stuck somewhere. But, because I drive my own car and I have my own house with my own computers and they're all set up, they're a little bigger and I use them more. Okay, does that mean I don't shop? No. Online, I sure do. But basically the conclusion of this ad is that Gen Zers like to go to in-store, and most technologies don't have a lot of difference. So if you want to cut through the clutter, take a page from Google. This is the Google logo up here. Oops, I got it backwards. Yeah, there it is, Google. Take a page from Google. Test mail. And if you don't, and I don't mean try mail, I mean test mail. Got it? And if you don't know what I mean, go get scientificadvertising.com or talk to me. 10 at 10. We're the world's only live marketing news show daily. 10 o'clock Chicago time. Join me on Periscope, YouTube, or Twitch, or Twitter, or usually I post a link on LinkedIn. Like and share. Oops, wrong button.